it comes everywhere, and it starts with the bidding process, with the conception of the games themselves. This is what Paris 2024 did there in early times, put sustainability at the heart of this, and basically in everything we do. So setting for ourselves ambitions in terms of climate, with the games that are going to be more than neutral in terms of climate. We have 100% renewable electricity for all our needs. We have sustainable constructions, sustainable food. So everything we do, we are putting sustainability behind.
And what have you learned, Georgina, from Tokyo in terms of sustainability?
Many things, but if there's one thing to retain from the Tokyo Games, is the importance of having realizations that are clearly visible, and identifiable by the athletes and by the general public. This is what they've done very well.
And between now and Paris 2024, we have the Winter Games in Beijing next year. You'll be watching those very closely. What do you hope to learn from those?
Yeah, well, we are eager to discover what Beijing will be doing in terms of sustainability. For us, it's very, very important that sustainability impregnates the entire project, that to see it all over the project is exactly what we are doing. And, we're eager to discover what they will surprise us with.
Do you hope the Games in Paris will be carbon neutral? And if so, how will you try and achieve that?
Well, let me tell you something. The Games will not be climate neutral or carbon neutral. We'll go beyond that. We're going to be climate positive, actually have a positive impact on climate. This is because we're taking the entire climate impact into account, the famous Scope 3. So we are counting even the traveling of spectators into our impact. We're working very hard to reduce our emissions. So we're aiming for less than half of emissions than previous games, which is a massive effort, as you can imagine. And then all those unavoidable emissions, we're going to offset, and we're going to offset more than our emissions. So this is why we say that we are committed and we have the means to deliver a climate positive games, which is what the IOC is asking other countries other cities, to do from 2030 onwards. So we'll be 6 years behind in advance.
What you can't avoid are emissions from air travel, because the vast majority of spectators and competitors will be flying in to Paris. How can you offset those, do you think?
Well, in normal times, people will be traveling everywhere, and we are asking everyone to make an effort to come to Paris in the most sustainable possible way. We're working on that, to, for example, encourage Europeans to come by train instead of taking a flight. That's possible. But of course, we don't want to discourage, Australians or South Americans from coming. And for that reason, we want to work on solutions that could be lower impact. And then, for those unavoidable emissions that I said that, unfortunately, we will not be able to avoid between now and 2024, to provide some offsetting solutions.
And all those spectators and competitors coming from all over the world will see a very large increase in the demand for food and drink, possibly single-use plastics. How are you going to get around that one?
In normal, I would say non-COVID time, Paris is already one of the most visited cities in the world. So in that context, the Games will certainly add some impact, and we are working to reduce that impact. I'd say through three main key actions. One is a very detailed food vision, for the Games that we're working on right now. We're still, 3 years before the Games. Second is a zero waste to landfill plan. So work on reducing waste and actually, what to do with that after we used resources. And then working on new operational solutions to reduce and hopefully avoid single-use plastics for all food and beverages in our Games venues in 2024.
And lastly, Georgina, what are you hoping from COP26? You must be watching that conference very closely.
Of course, as everyone, committed to climate, we're all watching that closely, also hoping to play our part, play our role. The sport is going to be present, is going to be playing its part. And we're hoping many things from COP26. And this may sound a bit technical, but one milestone that is essential to us is the definition in Article 6. That's the one that should define the specifics of the voluntary international cooperation on carbon emissions market. So since all our climate action is 100% voluntary, we're counting on these rules of the games, to be firmly defined in Glasgow.
Georgina Grenon, Director of Sustainability for Paris 2024. Many thanks to you for joining us here on The Agenda.
Thanks to you.